Tom Maher, Chief Executive Officer and President of Apex International Energy. Thank you for joining us today at Egypt Oil and Gas TV.
My pleasure, Mohammed.
Thank you, and congratulations on your new discovery.
Thank you.
Which I'm sure we'll talk and elaborate much more in our today's interview.
Happy to.
Great. Let's start. And you did Apex announce testing the Fajr 8 development well in South Maliha. How will the new discovery reflect on the company's production rate and revenues in this year?
Sure. The Fajr 8 well we drilled about a month ago, brought it online on May 9th, just about a month ago, at 2,000 barrels per day, which is a very good well for a well that total depth's only 5,000 feet. Good clean oil, no water, so we're very excited about it. We put it on stream as quick as we could. It came on May 9th, as I mentioned, and brought our overall production up to 6,000 barrels per day. We have 10 wells producing now in the concession, so that's an average of about 600 barrels per well when you average it out. So that increased our production 50%. We were producing 4,000 barrels before bringing Fajr 8 online. And the revenues increased a little more than that because over the last month, as you know, oil prices have increased too. So our revenues have increased roughly 70% since we brought the well online a month ago.
Excellent, excellent. And what is the significance of this new discovery, and what are the operational updates there as we speak
Sure.
now?
Well, that was a development well in one of the 3 discoveries we made last year, a little over a year ago in the first quarter of 21. We're actively developing all 3 of those discoveries. We have one rig, EDC 65, that is continually drilling these wells out. We just picked up a workover rig, SDF-1, just a month ago, which is now coming behind the drilling rig and completing the wells. So we have a lot more efficient operations and can get these wells drilled and hooked up much quicker than we were previously. We've been at it about a year now. Our JV just celebrated its first year. Farah Petroleum Company, commonly referred to as Petrofara, 1-year anniversary on April 20th. So it's exciting. They've drilled 12 wells now. Most of them have worked out well, and as I mentioned, 10 of them are producing to sales. So we're very excited about we still have a lot of development to do. In addition, we're just getting off of development now in one of the 3 fields and moving to an exploration well, which we have not drilled an exploration well in about a year. So we're excited to be back in the exploration game too, because we still see a fair amount of remaining potential in our concession for exploration. We hope to find some new reserves with this well.
But excellent achievement actually is in a very short time period, especially with just 1-year anniversary for your JV. So I think, how do you see that achievement?
We're very fortunate. We've got an amazing, first off, we've got excellent people, starting with Apex, the exploration team. We picked up a concession in a bid round that no one really thought much of. It had one oil field, Zuri field, standing kind of in the middle of it with nothing else, the only field in the area, which is very rare in the Western Desert. If you look at a map, you usually see the fields are grouped together, and you usually don't find an area with just one field over such a significantly large area.
True.
And there was no 3D seismic shot in this area either, other than the Zuri field itself. So our exploration team, rightfully so, pounded the table, got our shareholders to pick that block up in a bid round. And even though Apex was originally set up to acquire and exploit, acquire and produce, which is the AP in Apex, we actually started out with exploration, which was supposed to come later with some cash flow from acquiring and producing. So the business model worked in reverse, but it's worked out well now. It took us a little while, but the field, as I mentioned, is producing 6,000 barrels per day. That's the Apex side. The other side is the formation of Petrofara. It was done in a record time. We received our first development lease from His Excellency, signing it in February, and by April, 3 months later, we had a JV in place. And they've provided us with excellent quality people, some people that came on loan from other joint venture companies, particularly Calda, Giba, Mansoura.
Yes.
And they've been quality people, they're passionate people, and they've done a great job. In just that year of operations, we've had about 650,000 man hours, and we haven't had, fortunately, knock on wood, any injuries, no harm to our people. So we've got a pretty passionate HSE team too, with some quality HSE advisors on our team, both in the office and in the field. So
great.
So far, it's worked out very well. We're very happy. The cooperation of EGPC and the ministry has helped that timeline. Of course, they're anxious to get oil production on, or gas for that matter, as quick as possible. So they facilitated and had a good deal to do with that. And as well as the sister companies, as I mentioned, Agiba and Calda being close to us. All of our oil is moved through the Agiba facilities, through Zarif, Maleha, and then to Al Hamra terminal. So without their cooperation, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Excellent, excellent. So what's new for East Siwa block?
That's an interesting block. That was in the last EGPC bid round, and we jointly bid on it with IEOC. We're both in the area. We both developed a bit of a strategic relationship through the formation of Petrofar and going through their facilities. They said it makes sense, why don't we bid on this together, which we did, and fortunately won. It was competitive, one of the more competitive blocks in the bid round is my understanding, but we won it, and because it's right next to our Mashrak field, it's essentially a western extension of our Southeast Maleha concession, so it actually adjoins it to the west. So IEOC, despite their, they're the legend in the Western Desert all over Egypt, have been here so long, they allowed Apex to operate that. So we're excited. Where we are now is EGPC has just provided us the first draft of the concession agreement, which we're going through now with our partner, IEOC. We'll probably head that back into EGPC next week, and hopefully they'll get that in the Parliament as quick as possible, and I foresee maybe a signing in the fourth quarter this year.
Great, great. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Good luck. So in light of the current market situation with all the Russian and Ukrainian conflict and the rise of oil prices, do you have any future plans for more activities here in Egypt?
In addition to what we're doing now, our focus really right now is continue to developing. We have at least another year's worth of development drilling to do on the existing discoveries, and in the interim, we'll drill an exploration well here and there, and hopefully add upon that workload. And all of the activity we've discussed is in the northern part of the concession, where we have one 3D seismic survey. We shot another one at the same time 3 years ago to the south of the concession, and we haven't even started drilling on that, even though we do have some good prospects. There's a number of oil fields that surround it. It's actually in a better neighborhood than the one to the north when you look at a map, because there are a lot of oil fields out there, unlike just the one I mentioned to the north. So we're excited about that. We have plans in 2023 next year to do more exploration drilling down there, and hopefully that will also add to our future capacity to drill wells, increase production, and bring on more.
But with your overall initial business model of actually acquiring, is Apex looking into farming into different opportunities?
We're always looking. In fact, we have signed a purchase and sales agreement recently for some assets in the Western Desert. It's been done very recently. There's still some government approvals and partner approval things to work out, so I can't talk much about it. But yeah. Yes, we are looking to increase our base of producing assets and to grow that way too, as well as organically through our concession work.
Tom, you've been in Egypt in the oil and gas industry for how many years right now?
I moved here in 2002, so 20 years. With 3 years in the middle, I was assigned in Australia. But 17 of the last 20 years, I've been working mainly in the Western Desert of Egypt.
So you have a good experience about this industry here in Egypt. So what is your outlook about Egypt's hydrocarbon sector, especially in this year, 2022?
Sure. Well, it's the reason I'm here is I think highly of it. Obviously, what Egypt has done on the gas side speaks to itself with the discovery of Zohr and the development of the BP fields at Fayoum, Giza. I forget what they call that, West Nile Delta project.
Yes.
We haven't seen as much on the oil side, but I think the ministry and others are now more focused on the oil side too. We've got exploration that's going to happen in the Red Sea that hasn't happened in years. There'll be more exploration, no doubt, for gas in the Mediterranean. Dragon Oil just announced a significant discovery in the oldest province in Egypt, the Gulf of Suez, and so it's proving that there's still plenty of things to do in Egypt. So I think it's important, particularly on the natural gas side. I'm one of those big believers that has to be a bridge to as part of the energy transition plan and the bridge to renewables. We need as much gas as we can find, particularly in light of what you just mentioned, what's going on in Ukraine, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. So,
yeah, perfect.
I'm glad to be here in this point in time in history. I think there's still a lot of remaining potential.
You mentioning the energy transition times that we live right now, and natural gas playing a part and role of that. So what is APEC's plan to lower its carbon footprint aimed with the global call for climate action?
Sure, that's a question we get all the time now, as you can imagine.
Yes.
Our shareholders are very ESG conscious. We're talking with some bankers in light of this acquisition. We hope to close soon that also requires this of us. So to answer your specific question, at least with the operations we have in hand now in Southeast Malaysia, we're producing that 6,000 barrels through an early production facility, which is great. We got it because you can do it quickly and you can get production on and you can get the needed energy and oil to the place it needs to be. But it's not ideal for long-term carbon emissions mitigation. So we are planning our permanent facilities now, which will include a number of pipelines, particularly one pipeline in particular that takes that 6,000 barrels directly from our EPF to the shipping facility at Zarif, which will lower our CO2 significantly, particularly on the trucking side. It will be safer, obviously, too, less chance of a truck spill and oil leak. So we're working hard on that. We've already engaged with MP and Petrojet for those installation of pipelines. In addition, we're looking at our flared gas. This oil we produce is very low GOR, meaning it doesn't produce a lot of associated gas, but we're hoping there's enough there, particularly with a little more drilling, that we can use that associated gas in our operations to power our operation instead of using diesel gensets. And then that's another big, so we're not flaring anymore. One, because it's going to be required. As you know, the ministry signed up to the World Bank's No More Flaring by 2030 initiative. And we can tell the government's serious about this because we've received some recent amendments to concession agreements that shows EGPC is taking this seriously, and there won't be any more flaring come 2030. So we want to make sure we're in a position, and we would do this anyways in light of the current environment and the need to lower carbon emissions. We're working with engineering firms now. There's actually 3 of them. We got in kind of a competitive process to so how best can we use this associated gas to power our facilities so we're not flaring anymore.
Thanks.
We also have similar projects going on the water handling side too. So even now our production is pretty new, so there's not a lot of water handling issues, but there will be in the future. It's just typical of Western Desert oil fields. So we're trying to put ourselves in a position, particularly our joint venture, to handle that water the most efficient and effective, environmentally sound way we can.
Excellent. I come to my final question, Tom, which is very important, and you played a very big role throughout your presence here in Egypt and throughout the 17 years when it comes to CSR. And you know, the oil and gas industry always plays a very vital role when it comes to corporate social responsibility and giving back to our community. So what's the company's community building efforts that has been achieved, and what are there any new plans? Yeah,
that's an excellent question to end this interview on, and I'm glad to be here with you to discuss this because it was you and I together that initiated the Egypt Oil and Gas CSR Task Force, the technical committee as it was called at the time.
Yes.
And we're still involved in that, even though I've stepped down from the more involvement with you in the committee as a whole. We're still involved in the CSR, and we have a couple of our employees on the committee and task force. And we just completed a project, as you know, down in S1. There was a village there called Khor Awada that was devastated by floods that we experienced last winter. I think it was in December. And they've essentially rebuilt one of these communities called Khor Awada. And APEX participated along with a number of sector companies under the umbrella of the Ministry of Petroleum. That's another thing that's changed. It's, I think, for a positive with CSR is now we're doing more sector group projects in association with the ministry. But having said that, we also still value and do our independent projects. We support a boys orphanage home in Helwan. Our employees personally are active with the boys and visit with them on occasion. As well as we deliver in food and clothing and things of that nature. We're involved with Hands Along the Nile Development Services, which is a development group that works the Nile Valley and Upper Egypt, trying to provide sustained job training so these village folks can learn a trade and earn money that way, earn a living that way. And then closer to our operations, we're looking at some Bedouin. In fact, I have 3 of my guys up in Matrua talking with government officials and Bedouin tribal leaders. We're trying to come up with a project we can implement in the second half of this year for the Bedouin community that lives close to our operations at Southeast Maleha. And actually, a lot of them are employed in those operations too. They provide goods, services, equipment, things like that nature. So it's important to us to reach out to the community, they're stakeholders. We essentially view them as partners in what we're trying to do in Egypt. So we take it very seriously.
Excellent. Congratulations again, Tom, on your new discovery.
Thank you, Maher.
And wishing you for more and more success. I'm sure we're going to hear great things about Apex in the coming months, maybe, not even years.
Let's hope so.
Good luck with that.
Thank you
Thanks
very
a lot.
much. I appreciate it. Thank you.